XML basics. As discussed in last session, JSON and XML are native data types. Unlike string, int, float data types, JSON and XML are a bit complex because string, int, and float can be retrieved or assigned very easily by using the variable reference, whereas JSON and XML itself contain primitive data types like string, int, or could be another JSON object. So it is a bit complex when we talk about JSON or XML. So JSON and XML are a separate entity which needs to be discussed and processed. So in this session, these are all the topics that gonna cover. Let us go back to the Maven project that we have created. So creating a separate feature file. Let's start with JSON basics. So any feature file should have an extension of dot feature. So I created in the similar line. I'll remove these comments for now. I'll remove the tag as well. The feature name should go in line with the feature that we are trying to automate. So it would be JSON basics. So my runner file is based on tag. So I've given the relevant tag. We'll start with a simple JSON. So before going to the JSON, let us examine the string once. I'm creating a str variable and I have assigned a value ABCD. Then print str. So in order to retrieve the value that is stored inside the string variable, I'm just directly using the str. Right? Similarly, let me take a simple JSON. Simple JSON. So any variable or any value that is starting with curly braces or square brackets is considered as a JSON object in the Karate. So name is test user. Okay, before going here, let me assign str with some other value. Then print str. Okay, to assign a value, we should use define keyword. Make sure you follow that convention. If not, the Karate will throw an error. And that definition keyword applicable to JSON and XML also. So then print simple JSON. Let us see and examine the results. Okay, so here in the line number 5, I have defined a variable str and I have assigned the value ABCD. Then I try to print the value str. Here I am trying to retrieve the value that is present inside the variable str. So it is printed as ABCD. So it is printed as ABCD, the value which is present inside this variable, right? Then I am assigning another value in str which is EFGH and I am trying to print that str. So then it is printed that value EFGH. And the engine says that we are trying to override the existing variable value to a new value. So this is the log which is printed by the Karate. And Karate is backed by JavaScript engine. I'm not sure if I have mentioned this point, but it is backed by JavaScript engine. I mean the entire core functionality or the core engine of Karate is backed by JavaScript. So most of the functionality which is present in JavaScript can be used in Karate. So JavaScript is also one of the native data type in Karate. We'll discuss that in the next session, but just that point to be noted. Karate is backed by JavaScript engine. Similarly, here I am trying to define one more variable, simple JSON, and I am assigning a JSON object. So this is one JSON object. You don't have to mention double quotes. In general, Karate will understand that it is a JSON file. So I'll just make it simple. But actual JSON file, the key should be in quotes. Okay. So this is one JSON object or JSON file, a JSON value I have assigned into this particular thing. So when I try to print it, observe that it is printing the entire JSON. So this is well and good. But what if I want to retrieve the value of a particular name? So I want to retrieve the name value. I don't want the entire JSON file. So JSON is a collection of data. Unlike string here, it is just one single value. You can directly either retrieve or you can assign a value to a particular variable string of type string. But coming to JSON, it is not very simple. It itself is a collection of data. So when the concept of collection of data comes in picture, we need a mechanism to retrieve a particular data from the collection or assign a particular value to the collection. Got it? So here comes, there are two keywords, Karate keywords, which helps in doing this, getting a value or setting a value. And those keywords are set and get keywords. Set and get keywords. So before going into set and get keywords, let us understand the JSON file a bit. Let us take a simple JSON file. Yes. So this is a simple JSON file, which is a collection of data. So this is all the data that is present inside this JSON file. So if you see here, each JSON, the highlighted part is called JSON element. A JSON file is collection of JSON elements, and the highlighted one I'm mentioning here is called one JSON element. A JSON element is a combination of a key and a value. ID is the key and the value of the ID is 11. Key is nothing but you can relate a key to a particular variable reference. You can relate in that way. Similarly, coming to the second line, this is one more JSON element, and if you observe carefully, each JSON element is separated by a comma. And also observe that the last element doesn't have any comma at the end. It implies that the JSON file has come to an end. Okay. And data. Here coming data is one more key, but the value of the data is again a JSON object. So this is a JSON object. So anything that starts with curly braces or square bracket is a JSON object, right? So here the key value is data and the value is again a JSON object, and the key and value are separated by a colon. So this is the syntax that the JSON follows. So when you have a particular data collected in a particular file in the similar format, then the systems which process these files understands that this is a file of a particular format, which is JSON. And the file should be stored with an extension .json, similar to .text files, right? If you have observed any text file, it will be stored with an extension of .txt, and CSV files .csv. Correct. Similarly, JSON is also a file used to store collection of data, and that file should be with an extension of .json at the end. And now we are trying to examine a particular JSON file with a simple JSON elements, right? So a key will be on the left hand side, followed by a colon, followed by a value, and that includes one JSON element separated by a comma. Then comes the next JSON element separated by a comma. Then comes the next JSON element, and a key value should be always included inside double quotes. Whereas in karate, a key value can be directly declared here. You don't have to be in double quotes. If you don't want to confuse yourself in the beginning, you can just add double quotes also. There is no harm in adding them. Either ways, karate will understand it. So I'm just removing it for simplicity. This is a key and this is a value. So key will always be in a simple format like this, and the value depending upon the type of the value. See, I have included that in a single quotes, right? So in single quotes, if it is included in karate, it means it is of data type string. Okay. So this is a karate representation of a simple JSON, but actually the JSON file should be present like this. So if you don't want to confuse yourself, then just go ahead and use the proper JSON file itself. Right. So let us go back to the data. So data is the key and the value is again a JSON object. So inside the JSON object, there are again JSON elements. So capacity, this is one JSON element whose key is capacity and value is 254 GB. Similarly, screen size. And comes the release element. So this is the release element, JSON element. So you can, this is ID element, this is name element, this is data element, capacity element, screen size element, release element. So release element value is again a JSON object. Anything that is starting with curly braces or square bracket is a JSON object. So this is a JSON object again. So a JSON object will be again a collection of JSON elements. So inside this particular JSON object, there are group of data separated by column. Okay. So this is also called as JSON array. So release is the key and release keys value is a JSON array of these particular values 2018, 2019, 2019 R2, 2020. So this is how a JSON file will look like. So this is not similar to string, float or int. So we need a mechanism to retrieve the data, right? Or to set the data. So that can be achieved in karate using set and get keywords. So starting with a simple JSON, we'll see how to manipulate a simple JSON using set and get keywords. I'll comment this. I'll take a simple JSON array. So this is a simple JSON array that we have received. Okay. So these concepts, why we are discussing breaking the flow of karate automation is these concepts are necessary in order to set a request or get a value from the response. So this is very important in order to serialize your API or deserialize your API. Serialization and deserialization concepts. Serialization is to getting the request ready. Deserialization is breaking down the response to get the data that you want. Okay. So simple JSON, then we'll try to print one value. Trying to print when define some value, some x1 equals to get Json dot 0. So there are multiple ways you can retrieve the value from a particular JSON element or a JSON object, but we'll discuss the simple standard one which you can apply to all the values. happened? Where is printing all these details? Test with tags. Okay, there are two tests that are executed. I see one more test is executed, which is RESTful API dev. Okay, here tst we have not commented it, so that is the reason it is picked. Okay, so if you give hash at the front, it makes the line commented. It basically kind of a comment, so it won't execute. So we have commented this tag. So this is our requested value, JSON basics. So let us run it again. If you see here, it is 34. So we started with a simple JSON object, which is nothing but a JSON array, and we are trying to get some value from the JSON array. Okay, so get is the keyword that we gonna use to retrieve a value, and if you see here, 34 is the value. So like any array, it starts from 0. The indexing starts from 0. I mean, if you have experience with any other programming language, then it is very comfortable for you to understand what indexing is. But let me explain. Even when you compare with max also, in mathematics you will have arrays, right? So array is basically a collection of objects of similar type. There can be an arrays of heterogeneous also. Heterogeneous is basically collection of objects of different data types. Homogeneous is basically collection of objects of same data type. So that is another concept. But for now, this is an array, and each element in this array will have an index. Index is, for example, consider it as a ranking. So first values index will be 0, 1, 2, and 3. Right? So if the array has 5 values, the index starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is how the indexing works. And to retrieve a particular value from an array, we use the get keyword, and we use the name of the particular JSON, and we use the indexing. So this is one simple way if it is an array. But the standard way, we will see it now how to retrieve this value. I recommend you to remember this standard way. The first thing is use the get keyword, and you are trying to get the value from one JSON file. And what is the name of the JSON file? It could be JSON array or a complex JSON, anything, right? Then use dollar symbol. Dollar symbol is basically the root of the particular JSON element. Okay, let me show you in the file. So when I give the dollar, it means that my cursor is here inside the JSON file. So from here, where do you want to traverse? You need to specify the path. Okay. So let me take one example. Sorry, not this one. So dollar I have specified. It means that I am specifying some root dollar. It came inside this JSON element. From here, what I want to get it? I want to get index 2 value. Okay, let us see what it prints. Then print x1. JSON path is a bit difficult to understand, but it is very important. So that is the reason I'm going very slowly. So this is one way you can get a value if it is a JSON array. But this is the standard way which I recommend you to remember and follow and practice. First is use the keyword get, and then give the variable name of the JSON file, and then give the JSON path. This is called the JSON path. JSON path is the path that specifies the address of a particular JSON element inside a JSON file. I'll repeat it. JSON path is a path, is basically an address to a particular JSON element inside a JSON file. So by using the JSON path, you can traverse a JSON file and find an element inside it. Similar to XPath, if you have an automation experience, functional automation experience, you write XPath to get a DOM element from the browser, right? Similarly, JSON path is also an address that can help you to find a JSON element inside a JSON path. So it starts with dollar. Dollar specifies the root of the element. Root of the element is nothing but just inside the JSON file the cursor has entered. Just as you see the cursor here, it just entered there. So from here I want to get the index of 2. So I'm saying that okay, this particular JSON is an JSON array. I want to get the index of 2. So 2 value is 23.12. Right? Let us write one more value. Define x2 equals to get. See, there are multiple ways you can get a value and set a value, but the one which I am showing to you is a bit standard. It looked a bit standard to me because when it goes to complex XPaths or JSON paths, this will come in handy. So let us not confuse with multiple other ways. Let us follow this. The simplest way is the best approach, is what I recommend. So get keyword, then give the JSON file variable name, then space, give the JSON path. So if it is a JSON array, the simple thing is just after the dollar you can specify some index 3. Okay, I'm trying to run it. So this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2, and this is index 3. So index 3 value should be 421. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't print it, right? I have assigned it, but I didn't print it. Then print x2. Yeah, the value is 421. So this is for the simple JSON array. So let us see the moderate JSON. So this is simple JSON. So let us then see the moderate JSON file. Let us comment this. Simple one. This is not a simple, this kind of a moderate JSON file, right? It's a moderate one. I think that is the one.